guys described following as a stampede, and including, people jumping and trying to hide over rides, and eventually they knock down a section of the fence where they can escape from that. Now part of that panic and that stampede, I only can imagine how scary it was for both parents and kids that was in that area, not knowing really what was going on when this whole crowd started to move in different directions, particularly towards the Judge Perez, Jean Lafitte area. We learned later that there were several injuries as a result of the stampede. Some people went to the hospital, I think two, to be treated, and they were later released. Another sense of anxiety for people that I was really concerned about is there was a point where some parents get separated from their children, and it was trying to reunite the children with their parents was really concerning to us. But as a result, we at the end of the night was able to match up the families back together. Getting back to the incident itself, we're not really sure what happened. As people were fleeing that area, they had called to our deputies saying that there were shots fired. Some people said there was someone brandishing a weapon, and they said some people were just simply yelling gun. So, after the stampede, we immediately moved our deputies into that area to try to find out exactly what was going on, and we never could really get anybody to confirm anything, so whether it was shot fired, whether it was someone brandishing a weapon, or someone just yelling a gun. So one of the things we're asking people to do right now, if you was at the Louisiana Crawfish Festival, if you was in the area where this incident occurred, and you saw someone, you witnessed someone fire a shot, if you witnessed anyone brandish a weapon, please contact the Sheriff's Department as soon as you can, so we can investigate these things. Now, we quickly learned that no one was shot on that site. However, as good as social media can be to push information out, it was bad that they were pushing out at some point just bad information. At some point they were saying several people were shot and killed on the scene. That wasn't true. And to try to allow people to not go too far with that, I had asked my public information officer, once we confirmed that nobody was shot on site, didn't appear that anybody did fire a weapon, we had asked to put a statement out on Facebook to let people know that everything was unconfirmed, that they were alleging that was really happening out there. So we work closely with the personnel with the Louisiana Crawfish Festival Association to plan and develop a plan, and then my staff actually executes that plan to provide security. That night we had, both on the interior and exterior of the Louisiana Crawfish Festival, over 60 deputies assigned to that job that particular night. When our deputies called in the shots fired, because that's what people were telling them, we had additional units throughout the parish respond to that call. So when people indicate there was a heavy police presence on the exterior of the festival, that was the reason why we had that. So that's what happened at the festival. We'll continue to work with the personnel at the Louisiana Crawfish Festival. Not this week, but next week we plan on meeting with them. We're going to have a debriefing, and then we're going to look on how we can improve security again at the festival that's scheduled for next year. So that's the first incident. Do you want to talk about that, or you want me to go into the second incident, the shooting that occurred later on that night?
Sheriff, you said that there were 60 deputies there because of the record crowds?
Well, we had more deputies there anticipating record crowds because we were the only event in town, and after COVID and the lift of the mask mandate, we were right about it, that we would have a lot of people that was looking to get out and enjoy the beautiful weather that we had most of the weekend, and the great service and festivities that they have at the Crawfish Festival. So we anticipated that, and that's why we beefed it up.
Was there, have you all been able to see if there's any video so far on social media posted of the running and stampede or anything like that?
Yeah, we continue to ask people if they have any video of the incident to to, share with us. And that brings me to this press conference again. If anybody saw anybody brandish a weapon, shoot a weapon, y'all need to contact us right away so we can continue our investigation. Now, we talked to everybody in that area, including, vendors and the ride workers, and we had deputies in the area. They have not heard any gunshots in that area, so. But that's not, I'm not going to sit here and say 100% it ever happened, but if something did happen and you know about it and you witnessed it, you need to contact us, please.
Sheriff, the fight or fights that were breaking out, were they juveniles, or what was the situation with
Yeah,
these?
and traditionally that happens, The year before last, we had, similar incidents with fights. Most of the times it's juvenile. This time, surprisingly, a few of the fights was females, juveniles that was fighting. And we respond to them and we disperse them and make them leave in some cases. But yeah, those fights, you had 3 fights in a general area, small fights, when that incident happened. And once we kind of got things under control again, it didn't take long after that to have several more fights in a general area, either right inside the event area or in some cases just outside of the event area.
So about how many fights do you think your deputies had to break up or deal with?
I would say 7, 8, somewhere around there.
It was between 8 and 10 that day.
8 and 10.
What sort of changes would you like to see or suggest when you do meet with the organizers?
I don't really want to talk about that just yet until I meet with the organizers and together come up with plans, because my ideas might not be something that they can do. So I'd rather just sit with them first, but there's some things that we have to do. But we had a lot of, sheriff's deputies there working. We had good coverage. They were walking all around. They were well seen. I think my big concern is weapons, and it's always been, but so maybe we can do some things on limited in bags, a search in bags, or maybe metal detectors at the gate, but it's not a function that as a sheriff and my employees can do, because we have enough to do, right? So, there's security companies that you can hire to provide those services, so we're gonna suggest that, and I think the Crawfish Festival guys will be open to those type of things, But look what happened, just the sheer panic and the stampede of what happened that day. I can only imagine if it would have been an active shooter situation there, it could have been deadly in many different ways, So that's going to be a big focus for us going into next year's festival, because we're starting to see too much of this, especially with juveniles, man. We talk about, breaking into cars, and sometimes people want to minimize that, right? But most of the times when these juveniles are breaking into cars, they're breaking into cars to get a gun. Well, that same juvenile armed now is going to be a much more dangerous person in the event, when you're talking about solving conflict, and whether it's a road rage incident, an argument, or something over Instagram. There's many different ways that these things spill over. And it's being solved by violence, and there's no process in the result of that. If you get one juvenile that shoots another juvenile, you got one that could be dead, and you got the other one can be going to jail for a long time. And look, it's a rare occurrence here in St. Bernard Parish, man. But we're starting to see it more. You see what happened Saturday night was violent in the entire metropolitan area, and they're using these guns to solve conflict, and if we don't get a handle on this, man, the body count's just going to keep going up and up and up.
And were the 2 people that went to the hospital, were those adults or kids?
The ones that was trampled on?
Yes, yeah.
That was juveniles. They're all kids. Yeah.
And those the 2 that had to go to the hospital were kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of paint the picture of that. I mean, the stampede, people getting trampled on, kind of, for somebody who wasn't there, kind of.
Yeah. Well, my people describe it as it was really a hairy situation. They tell me, a whole bunch of people wasn't getting trampled on. A handful did, but to see the panic in the people, they got a ride that's going around like this, and you got people jumping over the barricades well, you know, you can get hurt from the ride. You can get killed by the ride, you know, and the people were, it's just panic. And you know, some of my guys have experienced that before because some of my guys worked in you know, bigger departments, but I got some guys that really never experienced that before. And it was kind of, you know, shocking to the conscience even for us, you know. We're not used to dealing with stuff like that. You know, proud of the response of the guys. They did a very good job on response and getting things under control and maintaining control, shutting the thing down temporary until we can find out what's going on, if anybody's injured, anybody needs to be transported, and those type of things. And once they felt that they had a good handle on things, it was able to ramp things back up again. And other than those few fights after that, things went relatively okay. It was a long night, though. It was a long night.
Is there any video or body cam video or video that someone shot that y'all were able to share with us to show?
I will check and see if there's anything that we can share. I'm sure we will have something somewhere, but I'll check, and if we do, we'll have Kim send a clip out to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if y'all want to move on to the second incident, right? So, around 11:45, the same night, deputies respond to calls of gunfire and also a call of a shooting, and that was on Patricia Street at Juneau Drive. Deputies got there probably within a minute of the first call, and we found two victims. One's a 16-year-old male, one's a 15-year-old male, both suffering from a gunshot wound. One 15-year-old was shot in the side, and the 16-year-old was shot in the foot. They told us that it was a dark colored SUV that pulled up when they were walking on Patricia at that intersection of Juneau, and people from the vehicle began firing and then fled. The boy that was shot in the foot, he's since been released. The other one's in stable condition at a local hospital. So that investigation is an ongoing investigation right now. We're asking if anybody has any information, please give us a call, because we're not getting a lot of information out to victims just yet. One of the victims really wasn't very helpful. He didn't give us a lot of information, but we still, it's a very active case, and we are running down some leads right now.
Sheriff, were the victims from St. Bernard Parish?
You know, I think they spend some time in St. Bernard. I can't say that they live sometimes here, sometimes I think in the New Orleans area, but they do spend some time here in the parish.
And is any of that incident possibly related to the fights at the fair, or?
Yeah, we don't know. You know, we know that they said they were at the fair earlier, so, you know, whether that's a spin-off from that, someone indicated there's been an ongoing feud between two groups, and it might be a result of that as well.
When you say groups, I mean, do you anything to suspect it might be gang-related, or?
Not yet, but there seems to be a feud between these two groups. I don't think they call themselves gangs. I don't know yet, but we're exploring that.
Do you know about how many shots were fired?
You know, it was multiple shots, appears to be fired from two different weapons.
Were hits struck one time each?
One was struck once in the foot, the other guy twice. Once in the arm and once in the side. Is that possibly could be from the same round?
Could be the same round.
Yeah.
And are they both victims still in the hospital?
Just one.
Just one.
Mhm.
One in the shot and the side.
In the side, yeah. Yep.
Obviously, Sheriff, you asked for people to come forward with information on that as well.
Yes.
So
Oh,
the victims
absolutely.
are
Look,
very helpful.
call the sheriff's office, call Crime Stoppers, either way.
Anything else you think we're missing? Anything else we can get out for you?
No, you know, I just want to go back, you know, because I don't want to Crawfish Festival get a raw deal about this thing, because they work hard, the sheriff's office works hard to make this a good family-oriented event. And it was. I spent most of the afternoon Saturday there, and it was great. The crowds were great, they were friendly, everybody was having a good time, eating, listening to the bands, having a few drinks, and it just seems like when that younger crowd starts coming in and moving through, and you just kind of get a little feeling that things are about to change a little bit, and look, if you're going to come there with trouble, don't come, man. We don't want you there. We want good people there that's going to have a good time, and everybody's going to leave there safe, so I just wish I can do more to identify those people and try to get them out of there if there's a way, so maybe some more things that we can do at the gate might prevent somebody coming in there with a weapon, just let them know we're not about trouble. We're about a good time. That's what we're looking to do there.
How many people would you think that were at the fest that night?
I can give you secondhand information. They tell me that it could have been, I don't know about that night, but throughout that weekend, it could have been 100,000 people moved through that festival. They tell me it was not record crowds, from what I heard. And
Unfortunately, for the Crawfish Festival, Sunday they got rained out late in the evening, and actually it was kind of a relief for me, that it was over.
Sheriff, you talk about violence in general. I know across New Orleans the violence is surging, and I know here in St. Bernard Parish you guys have experienced more violence than you have in the past. Any idea how many shootings you guys have covered so far this year?
No, it's up. It's up, and it's crazy, Natasha. We never had these type of things, but we never had these young kids carrying guns neither, and the way they resolve conflict. Some of the things that I think back about. And I think about the 18-year-old girl who shot her fiance at Walmart. Domestic argument. She's 18 years old. She has a baby. The young man's dead. How do you process that? When you have the guy at Walmart down on East Judge Perez shooting a gun multiple times at a car that he's got beef with these guys, and they fleeing, and the rounds are going towards the park where they have kids playing. How do you process that? When these two young men have a beef down in Violet, and one's 18, one's 17, one shoots and kills the other one's spending time in jail. How do you process that? You're fighting over a bag of weed, or you're fighting over a girl, and you're willing to take somebody's life? We listen to it every day. We talk about it on the news every day, right? We talk about these things, but everybody says, well, what's the solution? We got to get together. But whatever comes out of that, look, there's issues, and it's, social issues that start when kids are small sometimes, but that's a long-term solution if we're going to do something to fix that. You got to start when these kids are young, right? But the short term is that you got to go out there, they got to go do their job, they got to go catch the guy and find out who did, and then you got to have accountability too. We minimize these car burglaries. I know I said this, but we minimize these car burglaries, but once that person gets a gun, in some cases they become, instead of a burglar, then the next one's going to be a carjacker. So we're waiting until they become the carjacker or a murderer, or one of those type of cases before we reacting to this stuff. University Hospital Saturday night, how many people I had sitting in those beds? Right? I know New Orleans had a bunch. I know Jefferson had a shooting. I know we had 2 shooting victims go up there. What are we doing? We're talking about it a lot. The politicians are talking about it a lot. But we got to do better. We have to do better. We got to do. I have 4 guys. All they do is go out there and go into problem areas. If we got reports in Violet where people are carrying guns and gambling and causing problems, those guys go work in that area. If we got problems on Parish Road with speeders, they go work that area. If we got problems with car burglaries in that Araby area, they going to work that area. And not, we're just trying to prevent some of these things from happening. That's the first thing we like to do. But if not, we like to catch those son of a guns that's committing these crimes and hold them accountable. we can't go soft on crime. It's not working. I'm not saying everybody has to be locked up, but everybody needs to get back on track. Everybody's get, particularly when you're dealing with juvenile crime. Nobody wants a juvenile detention center. I don't want one. I got one. But you know what? But when you have somebody, a juvenile, that's committing a violent crime, then you got a place for them. You got a place for them. Any other questions? Hey, did I forget anything? Or pretty good? Bobby? Danny?
Good show.
All right. Y'all don't have anything else?
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all. All right.
Sheriff, you don't know if it's juveniles that committed the shooting? You have no idea?
We don't know. Not yet. But we let, they running down leaves right now. Chad just kind of briefed me on a couple of things.
But it seems as though everything that happened is not within the hands of juveniles that you guys can tell so far. Well, juvenile victims of the shooting, juveniles that got into the fight, fair.
Yeah. No, but, off the record, the two kids that's,
I'm sorry.
we still on Facebook Live, or we all shut down?
No, we're all.